from talking to those people, and I'm good. I meant to go pee before I started the stream. I very much have to go pee. I meant to like get it kind of ready and then go pee and start it, but I started it. So instead of starting it in a normal way, we're gonna start this with you watching the coffee brew while I go to the bathroom. It's a good visual metaphor for getting ready to start. Don't you guys think it's a good visual metaphor for getting ready to start? What? You don't exist yet? Well, when you get here, see if you agree with that. Hello, whoever that is. I don't have my glasses. I started prematurely, so just give me a second. Well, I'm back. I've made my yarn and I've come back. I'm sorry that I prematurely began, but now I'm here. I've got enough coffee brewed at this point to pour myself a cup. And I'm going to add to it the requisite ingredients, namely non-dairy and dairy creamers. Both kinds of creamers that you can get. I mean, you could get other things like soy milk or whatever. I don't know what they make non-dairy creamer out of, but it's way better than like almond milk or oat milk or soy milk or any of this stuff. The powdered form is best. The liquid form usually has sugar added. It's not as good with sugar added. Is Grandpa drunk again? No, I actually don't drink alcohol. I'm also not a grandfather. So, on all accounts, the answer would be no. I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt that you were referring to me when you said that. You didn't specify anything that was actually specific to me. But that's fine. You go, you have your fun. You young whippersnapper? Who shit on your counter? Nobody shit on the counter. This is the coffee counter. It's the grossest place in the kitchen all the time because no place gets grosser than the coffee counter. It just, with all the non-dairy creamer and the coffee and everything, it just gets gross. I actually recently cleaned most of the rest of the kitchen, but not the coffee counter. I figured I'd get to it, like, I guess yesterday or the day before, but I just still haven't gotten to it. Reciprocally, who shit on your face? I'm guessing that it was your mom. It's just a wild guess. But I know my intuition would be pretty strong. I just think there's a decent chance that I've nailed it right on the head. Bingo! It was your mom. She did shit on your face. And that's why you look like that. Okay, you're right. I have no idea how you look. I think you're missing the point here. Oh, really? Are you, though? Or maybe I'm missing the point. That's what you're thinking. Well, you make a compelling argument. I'm sure. I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on. But I'm looking for them right now. Oh, well, I don't see my orange glasses anywhere. There are these glasses, but I don't like these much, but they're fine. Let me pull this up on the big screen where I can generally read it more easily. Like I said, I had a little bit of premature instartulation today. I started the stream for some reason before I was actually quite ready to start it. And ergo, why I'm such a mess. Is that the only reason, Maniac? No, there's many reasons why I'm such a mess, but that's one of them. Flex your memes, you look like you got deleted. I wonder what happens here. How does it feel to be a failure? I mean, about as much as you'd expect. It doesn't coincide with particularly great self-concept. Uh, yeah. Which of my myriad failures are you talking about? Or just the phenomenon of failing in general? Of course, I'm not entirely comprised of failures. I have some successes as well. But those are always going to be less salient in the mind than one's failures, I suppose. In the mind. You do not need. Yeah. I don't want to talk politics. I've talked too much politics the last couple of streams and just don't want to talk about politics at all. I don't like to talk about it because all I'm ever doing when I'm talking about it is trying to tell other people to stop playing outrage. Outrage fetish or something, whatever that is that we were playing. Because it's counterproductive and unhealthy. I mean, like, it's fine to get outraged about policies things. Like, when I explain how insane it is to try to want to increase taxes without first wanting to spend money on something specific, right? That's a reasonable way to, a reasonable kind of thing to be passionate about because it's not a person. And that's the most important thing, right? Politics properly done is not about a person. Sure, in the status quo, we have this person who makes it all about him unavoidably because he's such a fucking villainous tard. But it doesn't change the fact that it will always be unproductive discourse, uh, unproductive, in fact, counterproductive political discourse to talk about how villainous one of these people is. That's not what politics is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about people. It's supposed to be about policy. And that's why I don't want to talk about politics because everybody wants to talk about people. It's like, you know, just enough. My friend was over earlier visiting. We were hanging out, jamming out and stuff. He's a kid. He's like 22, I think. He's got a crazy life story. He had brain cancer and had a significant amount of his brain taken out, but seems perfectly normal to me. Yeah, well, that would be an example of obviously excessive rhetoric. But in general, people need if they want to engage in politics productively, they need to avoid talking about people and avoid making reification fallacies. In other words, assigning some agent like status to a fictional group called the left or the right. And in the same world where people were talking about policy from a dispassionate perspective, there's not really anything to disagree about, really, even. Um, it's just people are so behind their teams that they embrace terrible ideas sometimes in the name of it being on the right team. It's horrible. So it's like nobody should advocate for increasing taxes because no matter who you are, there's something the government's doing that you don't like. There's something that the government's spending money on that you don't like. And there's absolutely no reason to presume that the money you're going to generate from increased taxes is going to be spent in the way you want it to be spent, right? Well, I got to stop it right now. No more talking politics. I'm done talking politics for a little while because it makes me frustrated when what is the correct is so clear if you just have a dispassionate calculation of the respective argumentational strengths of both sides. It's very clear. It doesn't matter which side it ends up on. It's whatever has the best argumentational merit. But nobody thinks about stuff like that. So it's frustrating. Okay, well, how about this? Uh, Case, whatever your name is, are you fond of the ICE deportations? What makes you think more tax dollars won't go to fund more of that? Are you fond of um, U.S. giving foreign aid to Israel? you don't like that, what makes you think those tax dollars won't be spent on that? Whatever it is you don't like, what makes you think the tax dollars won't be spent on that? Instead of helping fellow Americans. Lord, give Colorado Duke the voice you placed within him. Remove fear, bring confidence, and let his true words rise with courage clearly and purpose, so others hear strength you gave him. Amen. Who's Colorado Duke? Yeah, I get you're just engaging in random and absurdist ways, but that is also an inappropriate way to deal with something serious like public policy. That's why you'll never hear a positive word out of my mouth about vermin supreme. Granted, I'll acknowledge I used to have a bumper sticker when I was in college on my car that said "Nuke a gay whale for Jesus." So I get the appeal of being provocative in some ways, but I don't know. Nowadays, long since I think what I can do is model how people should talk about politics. It is super important. This fundamental problem is a discursive one before it's anything else. If people had proper discourse about politics, then we wouldn't be in this fucking quagmire of a bullshit sandwich that we are, you know. So I think like discursive responsibility is important. How dare you? Free ponies for everyone. No, no free ponies for anybody. Where ignorance is bliss, it's folly to be wise. Well, that may be true, but being wise is not a choice. So it's actually not true to say that it's folly because folly indicates a fool's decision or a foolish decision, whereas wisdom is the unavoidable consequence of learning from suffering. Wisdom's not like a pleasant thing. It's often built of regret, shame, and ruthless objective self-criticism. Trump saw Jesus and saw Brown, and he got sent Central America. Yeah, he read it. His is. That guy. Why am I even talking about politics? But it's like so weird. Can you imagine being consumed with this passion to deport people? It has no possible benefit to him. It's not beneficial to the country. It's not necessarily particularly harmful either, but it's harmful in humanitarian ways. But like, what what kind of person has this strange passion? Like, God damn it! What am I gonna do? I'm gonna deport all of Mexicans. I'm like, did did he have some sort of traumatic childhood experience where a bunch of Mexicans jumped him or something? I do not get it. This guy's got pathological, like, just, I guess he's just racist, I guess. I don't know. I just can't conceive of being so weird. Oh, he thinks immigrants vote blue, but illegal immigrants don't get to vote at all. Of course, those sort of TI considerations. They're not obviously going to cross Trump's mind. Like it's an identity thing. People cling to things like nationality and heritage, and they feel threatened when it's less reinforced. Well, I mean, I noticed that people get very feisty about culture war flashpoints when they represent paradigm shifts, like trans people are a flashpoint because they require somebody to make a paradigm shift whereby their previous understanding of gender is binary, simple, not requiring any delicacy in dealing with, has been supplanted all of a sudden with something new or whatever. Dude, I hate to break the news, but I saw your mom last night and she is now expecting a baby. Tested positive. Congratulations. You saw my mom last night? I mean, she's in a box in the garage, so I don't know what you were having sex with, but it wasn't my mom. I could go check to see if there's any seminal fluid in her ashes. That's no excuse to ponder abortion. That was a good one. Capons. Capones? Oh, I see. Capones, right? Like, I got you. It's a pun, a play on words, if you will. And how happy for you you don't have any number after your name. Yeah, if you tested positive after the box of ashes, you should get an ointment for sure. Maybe even a balm, you know, depending on how bad the rash is. You're like, I got an incinerated bone inside of my pee hole. Gross. I'm gonna get a urinary tract infection now. Well, I hope it was worth it, Steel City. I have heard that my mom's a great lay. So anyway, I took mushrooms earlier tonight. Hung out with Brennan, and so and he doesn't did like, I didn't even talk about it all this time, but I could tell by responses last time when I got mushrooms like I normally live stream it. And he's like, okay, I'll see you later. He didn't want to stream, so I didn't even bring it up today. We jammed out. It was fun. We had a good time hanging out. Mushroom trip wasn't super hard, but agreeable, you know. In some sense, I felt like missing out by not streaming while shrooming, but it was fine. It's probably only been about 5 hours, 5.5 hours since I took it. You ready to lose to Houston today? Houston? Are you talking basketball? No, Pittsburgh doesn't have a basketball team. Are you telling me the Texans and the Steelers are still in the NFL playoffs? That's news to me. I don't think they are they? I paid a little bit of attention to the NFL playoffs. Oh, they are still in it, both those teams? When do they play? Monday night? Well, they must play Monday night, I guess. That must be the Monday night game. No, I didn't get the text. The entire city of Houston has challenged me to checkers. I will beat the entire city of Houston if I were to sit down and like have somehow you could have 20,000 checkers games all going at once, and I could just speed make a move, blah, 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 and get them all. You know, there's a story of a guy who he was like a teenager, I think, and he purported to be this like chess master, and he like set up this thing where he had like 100 challengers coming in, It was like back in the day where there wasn't digital media and stuff. And hey, you got to play them all, walking around, making move everything, And he lost all of the games except for the one he played against his mom. He thought he was good at chess, but he actually was not good at chess at all. Probably thought he was good at chess because he had only played against his mom before. I always beat my mom. I must be great at chess. Like pluribus, but with more Confederate flags. There aren't a whole lot of Confederate flags anymore these days. It used to be you'd see them around all the time. Even in California, you'd see like cars with, like some kind of, what do you call it, like a Camaro or something. I never see them anymore. It was not long ago that, I don't know which state, one of the states that had a Confederate flag put into its larger state flag, they replaced that state flag. I saw a video today or yesterday about where Dinosaur Adventures ranks all 50 state flags in terms of coolness of flag. I think he does a pretty good job. I don't know if I would have picked the same order. I definitely wouldn't have, but I can understand his reasoning. It wouldn't have been that different, probably. There's some of them that are terrible, like Alabama's flag. What? That's the best you could come up with? Have you seen Alabama's flag? There are plenty of ridiculous state flags. I did not know state flags at all before I watched this video. I didn't realize how ridiculous some of these state flags are. It's a great video, well worth watching it. Anyway, Alabama state flag. Good. So this is the Alabama state flag. That's the Alabama state flag. Yes, that is the state flag of Alabama. It's just a red X. Everyone's like, yep, that's it. That's our flag right there. They'll know. Not here. Not on this flag. But a common thing that's ridiculous in flags is they'll have like a blue flag. There's a certain size and it's small in the middle. They'll have a really complicated state seal, so you can't conceivably read anything or even make out the detail of it. That's a common mistake that state flags make. You couldn't sneeze at, I'll see what it says here. Couldn't sneeze without bumping into the tri-flag setup. I went to Texas and everything had 3 flags on it. The U.S. flag, the Confederate flag, and either the Gadsden or Mexican Puerto Rico flag. Huh. Well, I haven't spent much time in Texas. Grandpa, we meet again. You keeping those kids off my lawn? Yes, I don't really keep them off. I don't have a lawn, but the other day, the little children from across the street actually ran down the driveway and like came up to me as I was standing outside. I was like, hello, children. And they went away shortly. I was just kind of like, okay, run along. The little boy is quite a character. He seems to have like a mouthful of gold teeth, but he's like 4 years old or something. I'm not sure what's going on with that. And he's clearly like super ADHD. Anyway, I guess my neighbors, they also had it. I'm riding with this little boy who ran down to their house one time and just went inside their house with his sister chasing after him. Come back here, you know. So he's kind of a crazy little kid. And the neighbors also, their dog just runs around the neighborhood randomly. And he spends most of his time at the neighbor's house on lying, you know, in their couch up front. You know, if they go on a walk with Lulu, Leo will always go with them. When Rachel and I took Lulu for a walk, Leo ran down from up there and came with us on the walk. He's a nice dog, but I'm unusually leaning towards their kind of fuck it, just let them run around, let the dog run, let the kids run. I'm unusually in favor of those stuff, so it doesn't bother me at all. But Rachel's a little less cool with dogs running around, although she's fine with Leo because he's such a sweet dog. Little even likes it. The parents are seem to be good parents. They I've never heard them being abusive or anything towards the kids. The kids seem consistently happy, and yeah, it is true that playing music as bad as the music that they play could be considered a form of abuse. But I'm gonna give them a pass on that. Sure, you'd be hard pressed to find more terrible music, and it does everybody an increasing disservice as the volume goes up. Sometimes they play loud, but they're respectful in their time frames. They do it like between, you know, 5 and 7 in the evening or something. I don't know. They're fine. They're they're kind of, well, there's no other word for it. They're a little trashy. But you know, some people could call me a little trashy too. I like them a lot better than the previous neighbors that lived in that house. The previous neighbors, they had a dog that barked when they weren't home. I didn't like that at all. And they were very, like, or they had a sign that said, trespassers will be shot. It's not exactly the most welcoming sign you could get, you know? If you're walking over to greet the neighbors with a casserole and you see that sign, you're probably just going to turn right around and go back home. Not that I ever tried to go give them a casserole. What if I had? It is extremely likely for me to give people casseroles. I'd say it happens on average 3 to 4 times a day that I give somebody a casserole. That's why I have my song that I wrote. Fuck yeah, casserole. It might be called Casserole Fuck Yeah. I do have such a song. It's not a terrible song. I can't really remember how it goes at the moment, but I could find it on the channel and give it a listen. Remember how it goes. It's something about like, what am I bringing to the potluck? Casserole. Fuck yeah. Something like that. If you're gonna go to a potluck, why not go big? Bring a casserole. Could be a green bean casserole. Could be a regular bean casserole. Could be a casserole with no beans at all. The choice is entirely up to you. I was watching this Korean chef show, and one of the guys on the show, he all he did was braise everything. Like, well, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna braise these ingredients. Again, I love braising. He's just the braise guy. If I was on one of those shows, I'd be the casserole guy. Now, I'll concede I don't have any experience making casseroles. Maybe I have one thing that I'd make that you could call a casserole. But I'm willing to learn on the fly what it takes to make a great casserole. I'm assuming you just put a bunch of shit in a casserole dish, stick it in the oven for an indeterminate amount of time, and see what happens, you know? People didn't think my salmon cheesecake casserole was going to be good, but when they tasted it, they realized they were wrong. Eric, that's me. That's my name. Don't wear it out. What? Yeah. Oh, there I can see it through the window. What was the cognitive function that run, walk on the opposite side of the road person was testing? Oh, TE, I think. I'm pretty sure it's almost all TE. The extent to which you come up with more possible reasonings behind the thing links to extrovert intuition. But a good example of a TE polar response was, I thought you were supposed to walk on the right side of the street. And I said, well, what would be the reasoning for that? She said, so you don't jump scare people. Now that's TE polar right there. So you don't jump scare people? Well, you know, so they don't get scared when they see you all of a sudden and you're walking towards them. But it's like there's such an FE tool response. Like the reasoning must link to how to make you less inconvenient to other people. When in reality, it's so that you can see the cars that are closest to you coming towards you, and the cars that are coming up from behind you or further away from you horizontally. But we've discussed some other possible reasons why it might be better to walk that side of the street. Like, um, people are probably more likely to see someone sooner if there's a face because human visual acuity is linked to face recognition so much. Are you lost again? Am I lost again? Psst, psst. When was the first time? It sounds like this could be good song lyrics. Maybe they already are song lyrics. Are you lost again? Psst, psst. Makes you wonder, what's with the psst, psst? I guess it's a secret question. Are you lost again? Psst, psst. It's a secret question. Well, if it's a secret question, you better not ask me it. Can you have a secret question? I guess you can prevent people from knowing what question you're going to ask them in order to not give them a heads up. Because that would qualify as a secret question. But the point of the question isn't that it's going to stay secret, right? It's that you don't give people forewarning on it. Because you have a question that's supposed to stay secret that seems inherently contradictory, right? Okay, I've written down a question here. I'm gonna look at it, and you're gonna look at it, but nobody else can look at it, and nobody can ask this question. What is it? You can't even ask what it is, okay? Not only can you not ask the question, you can't ask about the question either. Why did you time him out? All I said was, are you lost again? Psst, psst. I thought it was kind of an interesting chat, personally, but you may have intuited something I missed. I don't know what psst, psst means. It must be dirty. Okay, fine. I thought it was like, psst, psst, like secret. Like let's have a secret question. Or it could be plus some, I guess. Oh, it's fine. I'm not really critiquing it. I was just curious what your no, I'm just curious what your rationale was. I actually trust your judgment on that more than my own, probably, because I think you're going to NI the thing, and things that I might not pick up on, or that I might not deal with holistically, that are better dealt with holistically. You know. But then, despite that, I'll still ask you for your reasoning. That's just that's just cognitive function frame projection doing its dirty, dirty work. Dirty, dirty cognitive function projection. The limits of open system and self awareness when it comes to identity and ontology stuff, you know. It's just, it doesn't matter. You can't think your way out of having a reflexive frame that gets it gets projected because you need to have something to fill that slot, so to speak, and it's a better frame for you to project than any other for your purposes. Yeah, well, I agree with you on that, Ruben. I'm sure you're absolutely right. I just thought it was an interesting sentence. It sounds like it could be the beginning of song lyrics, you know. Are you lost again? Psst, psst. It's a secret question. Can't even ask about this question. It's a secret. Are you lost again? Psst, psst. It's a secret question. I don't know, Five, you missed a secret question. You also missed me showing people what Alabama's flag looks like and how terrible it is. It's just a red X. Oh yeah, I think after they put that thing there, they probably were bailed before we even had any conversation about it, like about what to do about it or not. So that's what you missed, Anna. But you also missed some other things that happened before. But unfortunately, I also missed those things, so I don't know what they are. Yeah, and some of them are convertible. That's usually you can tell that right away. They'll kind of like lull or be surprised at my um, my engaging with what they say in a non like in an unexpected way, I guess. But yeah, you can. Oh, I'm not. I'm not second guessing you, Ruben. I'm not wasting even a moment's thought over whoever you hid. I'm sure good enough reason. The only person I think about regarding that stuff is poor Hero Lamb. I think I hid multiple of his accounts and all accounts thinking he was that other guy. Like Capone's here. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure Capone was particularly ill intentioned to begin with. He was just kind of inane. All right then. Well, it's time for me to inject you with this. It's curved so it can fit into your ear. Got a little bit of water in there. Now it's dry again. I'm supposed to use this to clean up underneath my temporary but not removable denture that I have in. Do I use this? I find it very difficult to use. I find it easier to just swoosh liquid around, and sometimes I dig in there with this thing. Supposedly, this is the magic tool that's going to make it easy. It did not make it easy. But, not everything in life is easy, Ruben. Okay? Stop expecting everything in life to be easy. Sometimes you gotta get serious. Because you know what? People are dying out there. This is not a game, okay? What we need around here is some tough love. My tonsils are not trying to grow any crops, ergo, I do not need to irrigate them. Irrigating. Why don't they just say squirting water? Squirting water on your shit instead of irrigating it. Yeah, I don't want tonsil crops. I've already had to squirt a lot of Roundup on my tonsils because it keeps growing weeds and stuff. Oh, it's going in the crevices, I see. Just like when you irrigate a field. If you don't irrigate a field properly, the water won't get in the crevices. It'll just glide right along over the top of the dirt and just wash away. Yeah, my tonsils are so full of Roundup at this point. The Monsanto company owns part of them. They own a piece of the action. Every time my tonsils make $100, I have to give Monsanto $10. I remember one of my friends when I was a kid had his tonsils taken out. I remember asking, why do they take your tonsils out and not getting a satisfactory explanation? Like, well, if you get sick too much, or blah, blah, blah. I was like, even as a kid, I was like, that's not a specific thing. Should, how can you take out someone's tonsils without a specific reason? Like, they've got tonsil cancer or something, or appendicitis. You get appendicitis before you take out your appendix. Like maybe this is why I was thinking about this because I had my appendix out when I was in fifth grade. But why do you not have to have something like that before you take out your tonsils? Your tonsils grow back sometimes? Hmm. I wish my teeth grew back instead of my tonsils. Will my appendix grow back? Can I trade tonsil grow back for a new appendix? Or actually, I'd rather get, if it's too late for the new teeth. I can still use some spots. You should be able to trade things like that in life, I think. Like, look, I don't really care about growing hair on my head, so can I trade all the rest of my head hair for something cool, like not my eyes going bad, so I don't have to wear glasses anymore? I should be able to trade like that. Who's in charge of these sort of things? I need to call them and explain why it should be like that. Is it God? No, it's the Life Trades Ombudsman. Well, that would be a terrible, terrible uh, instance of sloppy writing leading to catastrophe. But, that does assume, and I'm assuming this probably is usually the case, that a doctor trained in one procedure is also trained in the other. Because you probably have a single class in doctor school where you can learn how to do both things. All your dectomies in one class. I want the regrow organ swap ability you were referencing just a minute ago for that situation. Oh yeah, well for that situation for sure, that'd be a top priority. But I can't live without my appendix. So far, I don't seem to miss it very much. I mean, I miss it a little bit, but it's kind of in the same way that I miss red cabbage salad. Just say not that much, or a little bit. I was like, oh, that was sweet times we had back then, you and me, appendix. I'd eat little bits of sand and shell and sticks and stuff, and you'd get them out of my stomach. Even though I could have just pooped them out, you said, no, don't bother, I'll get it for you. Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I miss my appendix about the same as I miss red cabbage salad. I can't have it anymore because it's only good at one place, Clearman's. They don't have any Clearman's up here. So even when I had access to a Clearman's, I didn't go get it very often. Now I can't get it. I do miss it a little bit, but not that much. It is good. We had some good times together, me and red cabbage salad. But not so much that I'm really lamenting it. Whereas, same with my appendix. My appendix and I had good times. It's easy to have fun with an organ that just wants you to feed it a little bit of sand. But I'm like, I outgrew that game for a while ago anyway. Eventually, you get tired of feeding your appendix sand, and it's just like one of those horrible digital pets that you have to do work for no reason. So, anyway, that's why I don't really miss my appendix that much. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I miss red cabbage salad more than my appendix. Yeah, Clearman's is where you get the red cabbage salad. That's right. Particularly the boat is the best place to get it because if you go to a restaurant, like the restaurant's very expensive. Oh, you got the recipe, huh? Well, Ruben, recipe or not, you'll never be able to duplicate the true Clearman's red cabbage salad because you don't have a wooden bowl. And it's only properly eaten when eaten out of a wooden bowl. You would be able to. No, you don't. Not wooden enough, Ruben. It's the wrong kind of wood. You can't do it with a pine bowl. You have to use a classic Clearman's true redwood bowl. Well, I believe you have what you consider a wooden bowl, but it's because you don't have a connoisseur's understanding of what really qualifies as a wooden bowl. Okay, it's got to be exactly like the ones at Clearman's. Otherwise, it's going to negatively impact the taste, and your red cabbage salad will be no better than a bowl of clam chowder that's been sitting out for 2 days. What's worse than that? Nobody likes clam chowder. If clams, the best way to make clam chowder better would be to take the clams out of it and just have it be chowder. Nobody wants to eat clams. Okay, Ruben. Well, if you have that much faith in your red cabbage salad, then maybe it'll be better than horrible clam chowder. Maybe, but I I'll know it's the right kind of wooden bowl when I lick the bowl before you even putting salad in. I gotta taste the wood, like I always do when I'm at Clearman's. I say, before you put the red cabbage in there, can you hand me the bowl, please? I give it a good thorough licking so I can really see it. Okay, this is an authentic bowl. You may put it in there. They understand intuitively what I'm doing. They get why I'm doing that. But they know some of the bowls they have at Clearman's are not real Clearman's wooden bowls. They're counterfeit fakers. And if you happen to get one of those bowls, your cabbage salad will not taste the same. Oh yeah, they understand. Well, the management doesn't like it, but the regular employees they just give me a knowing look. I got you, brother. You don't want to get bamboozled by our fake bowls. The boat is definitely the clearance to go to. That's a great place to watch sports. I also will get fish and chips there. I'm not a fish eater, but Clarence fish and chips are are banging. They're really good with that malt vinegar and everything. It's like, all right, you win, fish. You win this round, fish. Even though you are not a thing that should be eaten in general, you win this round. Rachel will sometimes get shrimp and chips, which is like fish and chips, but they bread and fry shrimp. I don't like shrimp. Sorry, shrimp. Get out of here. And take your other sea creatures along with you. In Korea, they eat something called a sea pineapple. Like, that cannot be an actual thing, sea pineapple. No, it is. It's a form of sea squirt. You might say, well, what's a sea squirt? It's one of those little fucking slimy things that squirts up water from like tide pools and stuff. Like, why would anybody eat that? You don't have to. I get it if you're starving or something, but like, oh, I gotta get me a plate of sea squirts because I am hankering for some sea squirt right now. Give me a sea pineapple, that variety, please. I don't know. A lot of Asian countries like to eat things out of the ocean. They eat gross things like sea cucumbers and everything in the ocean is pretty much gross, but like what's called monkfish. You ever seen a monkfish? They eat that stuff in Korea. That sounds good, but how can you get that when fish and chips exist? What? Shrimp and fish? Shrimp and chips? Yeah, well, I don't know. Rachel, she's fond of the lumpy kind of thing like lobster, shrimp. She prefers lobster over crab. Crab's quite rich. Anders Gustafsson. Heart you too. Hey, I got a long question real quick. All right, hit me with it. If we got 50 deaf people, 50 blind people, put them in a pool, make them play Marco Polo, who would win? Well, what about the mute people? Are you excluding them from this game on purpose? Because you got a lot of mute people who are not complaining about this reality, but feel like they should. It's a good question, an excellent question. Who will win? I'm gonna say the deaf people because they'll always cheat without even knowing they're cheating. Yeah. It's like the deaf and the black people are like, well, if the mute people wanted to play, they could have said something. But as I was saying the other day, whatever happened to all the mutes? It used to be you hear about the deaf, the blind, and the mute. Now, like there are no more mutes. Why not? Nobody knows. There used to be a lot of people who had no sense of touch either. just, just had no nerves. A lot of people used to be born nerveless. Mute's been real quiet lately. Yeah. You know, Mendo Dog, I'm thinking you could be a co-producer on my feature film project, Helen Keller, NBA point guard. I think you've got the kind of artistic vision this project is looking for. She achieved great success in the NBA by smelling her way down the court. Because she can't see or hear anything, she just uses the breezes of as people pass her to know where she is and the smells of the different people. Her nose is as good as a bloodhound because she's so heightened. She can smell like, oh, that's LeBron James, exactly 4 feet 6 inches to that direction, etc. And using her extra powers of perception, she dominates the league and takes the Houston Rockets to the NBA championship. If I had a time machine, I'd swap Helen Keller and Anne Frank to see what happens. When the Nazis went in there charging to get a Jewish girl and discovered they got Helen Keller instead, they'd be really confused. They'd be like, are you Jewish? And she'd say, hey, I go, what? Oh, she wouldn't even know they're there. You know, she's just making noises. It's like nobody told her they're there. And then her helpers like takes her hand and puts them on the Nazis. There, Helen, do you see? Nazis like, what the fuck? I like your thinking, mister. I like your thinking a lot. Finally, she gets the Nazis bring in a specialist who can read Braille, and she hands him a piece of paper with his little bumps that she's put on it. And they're like, they go, it says, I am not Jewish. Oh, why did we spend all this time for that? Well, she's still deaf and blind. I mean, we're not really down with that either. Oh my god, look at this fucking spider over here. This spider's huge. I have to kill this one. It's too big to just leave there massively clinging to the wall. I have to kill you, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of killing, but you're too big of a spider. I'm sorry. Once you exceed a certain size, then you're just too nightmare material to let sit on the wall any longer. This fucker's big. Alright, well, I got him. But I kind of trying to pick him up with the thing. I kind of squished him into the carpet a little bit. That's fine. I need to get that spot of the carpet in my cleaning adventures here. Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to enjoy with my coffee a delicious piece of cheese Danish. Let's go serve myself one. Sure, these so-called confetti cakes that Rachel picked are good too. These are surprisingly tasty. Confetti cakes by Wonder. But if you want a true taste sensation that's ruling the nation, you want to get some of this stuff. Danish cheese, it's called. And you just cut it with a knife. Sure, I get it. That's less convenient than individually packaged portions. But it's so delicious that I'm willing to do that extra work. Now, coffee and Danish. Imagine deliciousness. Mmm. Mmm. This is a Danish at a supermarket, and it's super delicious. But there's another kind of cheese Danish which is called, for some reason, cheese croissant, even though it has nothing to do with croissant. It's not shaped like that at all. At boot check markets, it's also very delicious. You might say, well, you're just a fan of cheese Danish. Well, I am, but there are varying degrees of quality. I'm lucky to have two very good cheese Danishes in close proximity. You know, when my mom used to say, thank God for small favors, or small, yeah, I guess that was it. Thank God for small favors. Mm. Mm. Well, I took, I think, 3 Adderalls today, but I took them many hours ago, like in the morning. I don't know, pretty early in the morning. But perhaps more relevance right now. I took mushrooms at like maybe 7:30. We were more or less worn off, but that has a impact on our overall sleepiness too, which is it'll make me more able to sleep and sleep better when I do go to sleep. Coffee, in the mix of those much more significant things, doesn't have any impact at all on me. But you have to have it with coffee. Otherwise, you're missing a crucial amount. You know, I took an eighth, and wasn't that strong. I'm thinking next time I'll take an eighth and a half. I got half an ounce, but now I don't have half an ounce anymore. Now I have 3/8 left. You know, mushrooms are weird. I can take exactly the same mushroom. I can take an eighth one time, and it'd be like, pretty mild trip overall. I take an eighth of the same mushrooms a week later, and have a much harder trip. I don't know. It happened to me many times that I've taken. I got like an ounce of mushrooms, and I had very different experiences taking the same amount of the same mushrooms on a reasonable schedule, like say with a week and a half in between. The bruised ones seem more potent. Well, I don't know what the bruised ones mean. The blue ones are more potent. The more blue it is, the more potent it is. But when I take all the mushrooms and smush them up as small as possible, try to turn it into like little little bits of fiber, and then I wetten it to make it into like a porridge to make it easier to eat. And I put it in my mouth so it's already done, so I don't have to chew it, and I can just swallow it down with some liquid, and it's not so gross. Because ain't nothing grosser than mushrooms, as we all know. I mean, there are some things grosser than mushrooms, but not things you purposely put in your mouth very much that are grosser than mushrooms. Maybe certain sea squirts or something, but I don't eat a lot of sea squirts. If mushrooms didn't have such a big payoff for being so gross, I would not eat them, obviously. What was I about to do on the thing here? Oh, right, I remember what I'm doing. woke up, he felt down. They drove themselves to town to pick up smokes and get some cokes and walk in the park. Meh, 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 meow, meow, meow. I'm not sure exactly what to do here. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. I'm not sure what to do there with that with vocal melody, but I know that in the verse, the vocal melody it differs from the piano melody that I had there. I had to come to terms with the fact that it wasn't what it's fine for a piano thing, but it's not the right melody for it. When she woke up, he felt down. They drove themselves to town to pick up smokes, get some cokes, and walk in the park. Haka-chika-ka-chika-ka-chika. What? A mime show? Let's go watch them. What do you mean you don't like mimes? How can you not like mimes? Nothing's more entertaining than mimes. How can you tell a vocal rhythm can't match the instrumental? It's not the rhythm, it's just, when I try to sing it, it doesn't feel like the right vocal melody. When I try to sing the piano part, it's playing here. It's a little different, the vocal melody should be. I don't know how to say why. Sweat-soaked mulch. Yeah, like I was talking to Brennan earlier and used the term spore medium. So you know somebody saying like, would you like a plate full of spore medium? It's good for you. Spore medium? Trust me, you're gonna love it. This gelatinous ooze stuff here? Yep. Go ahead and chow down. Have some spore medium. Why is it called spore medium? Because it's the perfect place to grow spores. Are you sure I should eat it? I am sure. You should eat it. Look, if it's good enough to grow mushrooms in, it's good enough to eat. That's NISE, Ruben, right there. Understanding that if something's good enough to grow mushrooms in, it's good enough to eat. There's no reason, it's just holistically true. Okay? We just have to accept it as part of our new reality. The world's changing. Stop clinging to your old ways, Ruben, and others. Yeah, I think it's NI gonna make is gonna know about things that are determined by holistic, like complete completeness and correctness of, the way that a car runs successfully when all these various components come together, and it's easy maybe to diagnose what makes a what's wrong with the car when it's not working, but it's hard to explain exactly what's right with the car when it is. It's not any particular component in isolation, right? So does it revolt you? Or are you saying it causes revolts? Yeah, the thing is, I have over many years trained myself to, well, not trained myself exactly, but learned things that I was able to, understandings that actually did have meaningful impacts in in allowing me to more successfully prioritize what was already an absolute value, namely to utilize NI in music making. Because I had an INFJ explain to me this the core concepts that I came to recognize as the secret revealed truth of NI. That if some part of it is catchy and sounds familiar, but you don't know exactly what it is, you're not copying something else. You shouldn't get rid of that part. You should keep that part. That's the good part. Just because you don't understand how you made it doesn't make it somehow not not worth keeping. The fact that you don't understand how you made it, that you can't kind of recreate the creative path that generated it, that it just sort of was channeled from the ether, that's an indication, the surest indication something's good. And the other core NI notion that, in fact, beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. The goodness or badness of, especially in music, not necessarily so in other art, but in music, the goodness or badness of an idea is objectively so one way or the other. It's just not something you can. I mean, the fact that you can't win the argument about it is not something I learned from Corey, but the idea that there absolutely is truth, true and false statements about music in terms of its quality. I've been wondering your thoughts on Michael Pierce since I've never seen you actually cover him. I mean, I think he's fine for what it is. It's not an explanation. It's kind of a bunch of observations. The problem with observations of the sort he's making isn't necessarily specific to the observations he's making, and it's only a problem if you're somebody like me who wants cognitive functions to be understood in an equivalent way to say debate mechanics are understood and agreed upon. It is WMW. Okay, I will. Thanks. Somebody suggested this to me. I never heard of this before. The idea that I could do that. Quit smoking. So, okay, all right. You got it. If some random person in the chat tells me to quit smoking, I'm going to obey them. That's how powerful your command is. Tell you what, I'll quit smoking and I'll take up MMA. I'll just be like, pow, pow. I've got so much energy now I quit smoking. I'm so hot. Pow, pow. And then I'll get brain trauma. And I'll regret that decision. So I should have kept smoking. The way he described the perceiving axis is SENI viewing in the abstract as the subjective and NESI viewing the quality as subjective. I mean, that's the kind of nonsense that, is why it's not really working anything. First of all, not every function is observing. Only an NI DOM is going to project that assumption so brazenly, right? My dominant function is taking action, namely creating words. And my secondary function is getting. So there's multiple flows of information, right? Put, get, receive, just like on the internet. Um, Only receiving functions are receiving functions. So it's not the case that both functions on an axis can be receiving functions because that would be redundant and you'd have both knowledge functions in the front stack. The structure is structured as it is implicitly because a person prioritizes one knowledge function over the other, one delivery function over the other, one action function over the other, one interface function over the other, and they have different kinds of attention, right? They're not. It's like sociologists trying to say all attentional manners are ways of metabolizing information. Well, no, taking action is not a way of metabolizing information. And he doesn't know what he means with the term subjective. I can guarantee you, because I've covered this many times before, but there are several ways you can mean the word subjective or objective, and you can use it in any of those ways. But in any strict calculus of things, there are only two functions that are truly objective or subjective, and those are TI, which is objective, and FI, which is subjective, because in that meaning of the term, objective and subjective, it's referring to it as a disinterested or interested calculus. People can also use the term to refer to data, which is say objective data is data we can all access. Subjective data is data just you can access, like how your stomach feels. Yeah, I give him full credit for coming up with the idea. I do think is that's kind of the specialty of NI DOMs is coming up with holistically banging ideas. But unfortunately, he was working also in a kind of work, namely explanation, that meant he was ill equipped with cognitive functions in a way that he was not ill equipped with his more magical concepts like um, collective unconscious or whatever. I continue to be a little bit flummoxed by interface functions. I would say that the best term for it really would be um, interaction. Like, in other words, it's it's non-turn based action. The difference between deliberation, action, and knowledge interface is that deliberation action types are taking a kind of action where they assume that in the time period before they take action, they have time to determine what action they're going to take. and that during the time that they're taking the action, nothing's going to change. Interface knowers, they're taking a kind of action where they're assuming they cannot do much of anything before the action starts because it's got to be aware of and responsive to dynamic interfacing that's going on. So I can't know how a conversation with a city clerk about why I got this bill or something is going to go until I have it. I can't determine in advance what position statements I'm going to make, what arguments I'm going to make, because I don't even know what the problem is yet. There's a double interface thing where I've got a TE thing I got to interface by finding things out and then adjusting and finding, check and adjust, check and adjust, check and adjust. I got an FE kind of interface. Got to talk to this lady. You know, this is hypothetical, but no, I mean, I think receiving types, but NI types more than SI because the NI receiving is receiving from the outside. SI receiving is receiving from the inside. Like in both cases, you can think of how it's received in the sense of how it's instantaneous and unbidden. So when you intuit, something untoward is going down in the store as you pull up from various cues of people's body language, whatever. You just know all of a sudden something about the holistic situation based on a bunch of different data points, none of which are determinate. You couldn't ever explain exactly how you came to that knowledge because you didn't come to that knowledge. It just occurred all of a sudden. That's an intuitive knowing, right? That comes when you're receiving information and then you pay attention to not just receiving, then you just know things all of a sudden. Introverted sensing, you're receiving information from your body, for example, like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm sleepy, my leg hurts, whatever. But you're also receiving information from your experiential log. So when you walk, like, if an NI person sees a pineapple, they might think of Hawaii. If an SI person sees a pineapple, they might think of that time they dropped a pineapple in the supermarket. So the SI person is receiving like associatively triggered bits of knowledge that link back to their experience, and they're receiving actual real-time information from their body. That's why it's receiving. Whereas getting information, you're not just waiting to see what gets thrown at you. You're asking questions or like, for example, FI person might just, I guess, spend time experiencing the emotions of attachment, affection, or whatever as a way of both experiencing and determining the significance of something. Whereas a TI person is going to ask questions like, well, what do you mean by this term? Both of them are deliberative in that they're not like receive functions. They don't happen instantaneously. Take time to determine what there is to be determined, either status or whatever FI has instead of status. I have a hard time with explaining FI as a corollary to TI because it's my blind spot and I'm an SI type, so I look for some kind of experiential data points to at least exemplify concepts so I can understand them, you know? Like, I get that, say you have a pet that dies or something, you feel very sad and you suffer a lot. But I, I, I don't understand what I'm determining there. But I get that it is a determination function or deliberation function, better called the deliberation function, which is easy enough to understand mechanically that it takes time to determine the status or whatever is being calculated or deliberated, right? But I don't get what the with TI you determine the status, correct, wrong, pending, variety of different things, valid, invalid, sound, etc. But I don't get what you determine with FI, except, boy, it sure did suck that I lost that thing that was precious to me. I guess you're supposed to determine ahead of time that it's precious to you and prevent its loss, or get, like, appreciate it while you have this, like, make the most of every moment and love your loved ones because, you know, catastrophe can happen any time. Something like that, but I don't know. It doesn't really seem to correlate to TI kind of determination. Oh, FI. You're a beautiful mystery. A beautiful mystery of my child's heart. I may have the body of a man and the cock of a god, but I have the heart of a child. Importance is what FI is determined if it's nice with TE on its X. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Importance. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense on a TE frame. You go, you have to know what you want for you to figure out how to get it, right? So Kant, who believed people should go into situations with beliefs intact rather than forming beliefs from perceptions in medias res. I mean, did Kant make those kind of prescriptive claims about how people should be? I thought he was largely explaining, like, philosophically what can be substantiated versus what can be negated. Well, Kant was definitely an SI front stack person. I think he was an INTP. And INTPs do have counter value to NI, so that would make sense if he is an INTP. Obviously, can't test the dead. I cannot do a typing session for any dead people. No matter how good of a typologist I am, I cannot overcome the non-responsiveness of a corpse. It's like, I just can't with the NI. Yeah, he probably was like that. You're right. He had some bullshit in particular pure reason too. People laud it for what it does well. It does some things well, but like his notion that one can substantiate claims or sustain claims that lying is morally prohibited is not correct. And the reason is it's only correct in certain kinds of lying, like say false testimony and or um, calls to action kind of lies, like yelling at fire in a crowded theater, or uh, say somebody's got boxes and they're trying to cross the street, and you go, "Is it clear for me to go?" And the person goes, "Oh yeah, you're good to go," but there's really cars coming right there. That kind of line is morally prohibited. But simply like saying, "Oh, I saw Michael Jackson at the store today," or something. That kind of lie is not morally prohibited, actually. There's no reasonable expectation from anybody that somebody else is going to tell the truth, excepting those exceptions I've already talked about. And nobody's entitled to the truth. They're not even entitled to an answer to a question, let alone a true answer to a question. And the reason one shouldn't lie is not because it's necessarily morally prohibited, but because it's it's never almost never prudent. Like the consequences of being caught lying and the consequences of credibility and stuff, and the way it negatively affects your ability to communicate and going forward, and how it sets certain precedents, makes it never a good gamble. Pretty much never. I can't think of really any actual real life scenarios where it would be a good gamble, because you can always choose to not answer. You don't have to say anything. I think he had some good ideas, but I kind of put him in the category of a nothing philosopher. Who? Kant? Well, Kant was a very significant philosopher. He was very influential. In fact, he influenced Jung probably. But and then without Kant, we wouldn't have a consistent, well-argued negative rights framework, even though he's not the one who presented its correct um, its correct expression in full. He was wrong in some spots and talked about a lot of kind of questionably relevant stuff too. Like he tried to find some instances where a person has a positive obligation that's non-contractual. I found those extremely specious. Let's exhume that guy, yeah. Let's exhume the fuck out of him. And like they used to do in New England, in the olden days in New England, if you got a little something called consumption, aka tuberculosis, and you died, and then one of your relatives in your family also got consumption and died, well, they thought the problem is we need to get the first one who's died, dig him up, and take out his lungs and his heart and his liver and burn them. And that'll prevent any further people from the family from dying of consumption. Well, joke's on you, old timey people. You actually had tuberculosis. So that's what we need to do to Kant. If I have personal preference, I just don't like rap music or I like gory horror films. Well, it's that's part of it, but it's also putting yourself in another person's shoes. It's harm prevention for things that are important to you. It's probably doing a good job of calculating one's long-term emotional relationship to something rather than just knowing how you feel about something right this second. I'm guessing. Possible to SE N word. No, like when you try to do things inwardly, that's like making a plan in your head, basically. And that at that point, you're in SI because you're no longer you're inning, SIing in your head. If you're just say if you're making the plan for the first time, it's NESI. But if you're an NESI type, then after you've made it, you'll repeat it to yourself multiple times until you get it down. So, like, you can take action or you can do something else. If that something else is planning to take action, well, then you're NESIing. Depending on the kind of plan, you may be TEing as well. You're not a Kant fan myself. Well, it's like I see Kant as a less extreme version of Jung. Like Kant gets a lot of credit for doing groundbreaking work, just like Jung does, and also because he didn't have the benefit of other minds critiquing and improving basic concepts and stuff. It wasn't perfectly rendered or anything. Well, if SI is the most unconscious, do you think this relates to random memories that have nothing to do with any previous thought or just emerging, or is this not function related? Well, I would suggest that the idea that you can't link an emerging memory to any kind of specific trigger that you see is just random and occurring like that, that is suggestive of a weak relationship with SI because if if I have a memory, I can usually say, like, oh, here's what made me think about that. Like, you know, I'd say a certain something in a cooking show. Maybe they're cooking something my dad cooked, and that will trigger me to remember, like, the the reality that I didn't eat with my dad enough in the last years of his life, even though it was complicated. But I'll have memories of specific events of that nature, and I'll be able to easily explain that the reason I'm having that memory now is because this thing I saw on the cooking show, that thing that they're cooking, is similar to something my dad cooked. And because my dad's coming up and with cooking, I also have this links to this horrible set of memories linking to my belief of my failure to do just take good emotional care of my dad by spending more time with him around meals. So the idea that I wouldn't be able to that I see a memory as just popping out of nowhere random, I that's foreign to me as an SI conscious person. Sometimes I can't explain why I remember a thing. Like, for example, if we take a drive and we're listening to music, and you ask me, where exactly were you when this song came on? I'll be like, or this part of the song. I'll be like, oh, we were right in that spot of the road where it turns like right there. Why do I remember that? I don't know, but I can. It's still like it's still easy to explain the way in which I remember. Obviously I've got linked there the memory of like me singing the song or whatever, and I've kind of automatically recorded where I was on the road. For me, it's usually like a smell or a certain kind of set of conditions that are met, and that triggers nostalgia, not just to a specific memory, but to a time. Yeah, certain kinds of smells. It's like I realized over the years how what I thought of it as how meow smells is actually the smell of something else that is there, that thing. Like I used to think that this is how airports smell. but it's actually just the smell of diesel exhaust. I'd be like on a bus and I'd be like, why does this bus smell like the airport? And I used to think that, well, I mean, I guess this is a fairly recent one I realized this. That smell is not how In-N-Out smells. That's the smell of grilled onions. But if you have grilled onions someplace else, it smells like In-N-Out. And what's another example like that? Oh, like when I got here, when we started living here, I'd come out in the morning and I'd smell. I'd be like, wow, why does it smell like fishing out here? I'm not even next to any water right now. Maybe there's a teeny stream there, but maybe it wasn't there at the time. Why does it smell like fishing? I realized it never smelled like fishing. It just smelled like the mountains. That wasn't specific to fishing at all. I don't have to be near any body of water going fishing to have the same smell. Who knew? I thought that was the smell of fishing. I need this thing. Not this annoying, it's a lot better than it was, but I'm still having to be careful with this spot so I don't put too much pressure on it with suction or something. That was a pretty good application there. Sometimes it's trouble putting this stuff on. All right, what's going on here? Right, we're about to go smoke a cigarette. We're going to explore our womanhood deep, deep into the night. Probably we're not going to stream for too much longer, but the remaining amount of time will be prioritizing exploring our womanhood. Because I'm tired of my womanhood going unexplored. Like a lot of people, I am sick and tired of having my womanhood unexplored. I'm sick and tired of women getting all the privileges. Who says, why does this cocaine smell like Home Depot? Cocaine really doesn't, I don't know if it smells like anything. Kind of smells like numbness, I guess. Well, no, it does smell like something. No, it does smell. It does smell like something. Before you snort it, it smells like something. I can think of what it smells like. It smells good. It's a good smell. I like the smell. I don't like the drug particularly, but I like the smell of it. And it is good. You're going to do a line of meth to mix some cocaine in there because it numbs up your sinuses so you don't get all like agony. But whoever is equipped to do such specialized lines of whatever. It's cut with gasoline. You mean cocaine? Smells like burning. That's what meth smells like. It smells like burning. It smells like oh my God, why did I do that? I knew I should have smoked that. Why did I do that? But at the same time, you're like, okay. Else I'm not just bong. Oh, those are the days. That's a spicy habanero? Is that what you're saying? Hohaina? Did I even smoke any cigarette when I was out there? I don't think I did. That's fine. I need to smoke more cigarettes. I smoked plenty of cigarettes today. I really didn't smoke very whole cigarettes. I think I wasted a lot of cigarettes today. Looking a couple hits off them. And throwing them on the ground. Oh, Eric. You're a real piece of work, mister. What are we going to do with you? I tell you, young man, your mother really has her hands full. I know it, Mrs. Thompson. My mama does have her hands full. I'm a problem boy, and I still am to this day. Whatever are we going to do with me? I've got about as much adult self-discipline as a toddler. Oh, all right, maybe a kindergarten. I'll give myself that. I got as much maturity as about a 5-year-old. Maybe a what's that word I'm looking for? Maybe some kind of prodigy 4-year-old. That's not the word I'm looking for, though. I used an equivalent way to express the same concept. Val, you can't keep all your words all the time. What was I even doing in the kitchen? What am I just walking around? Just bluggity blue. Why are flashbacks weirdly 1840s plantation-y? I'm listening to the guy from earlier subconsciously. Who's the guy from earlier? Must be subconscious because I don't even know what you're talking about. Kind of smells like numb nuts, I guess. I have aimless walk around syndrome right now, apparently. I seem to be like trying to do something but never doing it, but I'm not sure what it is. Oh, the one who told me to stop smoking. No. I don't mind smoking, but I don't like kind of just absent-mindedly smoking. I have mostly this has to do with my current dental situation, which is I got this one spot where it's just it's very fragile barrier between my sinus cavity and my mouth. Prevent suction on that spot as much as possible for the time being. SI is not happiness in life at all. I think ISFJs have a better chance than most to be happy. ESFJs as well. STJs are not necessarily happy. In fact, they're very prone to depression, I think. And SI is, whether your SI is good or bad, well, that depends on your experiences, right? Because that's what you're keeping track of. So if you have a wonderful life with happy experiences for a certain stretch of time, well, then you're going to have a good relationship with your past and stuff like that. If you have bad experiences or traumatic ones, the terrible thing about SI is your bad memories are weighted much more heavily than your good ones because they're the things you're supposed to learn from, I guess. And so, traumatic memories can turn into nightmare, nightmarishly intrusive thoughts for an SI person because it's a knowledge function. So it's not like it comes bidden, right? It comes unbidden definitionally. I don't think any type has a monopoly on happiness nor a monopoly on depression and mental health issues. I think that has a lot to do with our circumstances and and you know like I was dramatically different before my parents' death than I am now. Eh, Granted, I was starting to get kind of worn down before they died by the situation. But prior to that, I was quite happy go lucky, or at least I was always ready and able to have fun or crash out. And not like when I used to get Adderall crashes and stuff, I might wake up mad. I usually did, but I wouldn't feel sadness, depression, anxiety, things like that. Nowadays, I do, and the recovery time from an Adderall bottle is much longer and rougher. And in general, I'm a more serious person who's spending more time thinking about adult stuff because I'm having to be an adult now. Whether or not I think your state of being, whether it is say you feel like you're thriving or you feel like you're in distress, is the ends of the spectrum. Let's say either end. Hey Johnny Cats, it's it's going to link very much to the extent to which you can attain the attentional outcomes you value with the attentional habits you reflexively use. So it's going to be difficult to be happy as an ENTP, as an example, if you can't have other people find your ideational intellectual stuff and or cleverness or whatever, to have them find it of value or find it useful at least. If they like, if they don't like it, but they think, okay, well, it's useful because it's correct or something. Um, that's going to be, it's going to have a lot to do with how how well fit into life that person feels. Like if they have a means to be validated for the way they are, then that's great. And validation is important to ENTPs because it's third slot FE. Validation is not necessarily important. Validation from others is not necessarily important to all types, but some kind of validation scheme is going to be used regardless. Do you wish YouTube was around when you were younger, or do you think you started when you would have otherwise? I think I started at a good time because I started when I quit drinking, approximately. I I'm glad I don't have a bunch of YouTube videos from when I'm drunk. When I was drunk, I don't trust drinking Eric's judgment. So I feel lucky in general that my drinking career predated, by and large, the when I was young enough to potentially be subject to like being out and taking pictures and stuff like that. People didn't really have smartphones like that yet, and social media wasn't fully developed yet. And then by the time it was, I was only drinking at home and trying to not not wake up the next morning going like, "Oh God, who did I text? Oh, what did I text them? Oh, thank you. No, blah, 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 blah." No, no, thank you. Horrible, horrible times, horrible ways, horrible, unreliable, unpredictable, hangover ridden, shame filled days. All right, so look, listen, as Brisky says. Okay, look, now listen. Maybe I lost 100 grand in Vegas, but that was before. Today is today. Right, those were the days when you could do something dumb and not have it permanently recorded on the internet for everyone to see. Correct. Although I will say that the current internet provides people a lot of mechanisms to have shit removed in a lot of contexts anyway. But you'll never get it totally scrubbed. You could probably get stuff that involves you removed from most of your major platforms. But it can be complicated. Like there's this one lady who participated in these group video like conference like panels basically. But then later on wanted every single one that she was in to be deleted. I was like, fuck off, bitch. Not that I care about that content or anything, even, but I I'm not gonna do that amount of work. Yeah, I did check it, Johnny Cash, and I appreciate your email a lot. I've been thinking about it, and it's on my list of things I must do tomorrow. Is contact the mechanics about that, and also talk to Delilah about her car and whether that's going to. Cool. Thanks, Jimmy Blaze. Appreciate it. Have a good night. I'm gonna wrap it up pretty soon too. Um, yeah, that's tomorrow's problem, I guess. I need to get as much sleep as possible. The Easy Lum fan page 67. The number one best reality TV show on YouTube, The Asylum at Steve Billings Asylum, Sunday nights. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly like hot, either time outable or hideable self promotion, but I really don't care. He can self-promote all he wants. Well, not all he wants, but some anyway. I doubt I'd be interested in that show because you describe it as reality TV, and I don't like reality TV. I'm not being an asshole. I'm saying it's fine. You can self-promote. But I'm not the only decision maker around here. So I guess he pushed it by not just self promoting, but also like being sanctimonious about it or something. Well, obviously, you know, the Easy Lum fan page 67. First of all, is there a hard Lum fan page? I'm curious. I want to know. Is there a hard Lum fan page? What is a Lum fan page? And also, do you really think that's going to be an effective way of promoting? Maybe. I haven't talked about it so much, I'm kind of curious now. I said it as a joke, but I saw him copy pasting it repeatedly from a mile away. Steve Billings, the Easy Loan. What opportunity are you giving me? If host Eric had explicitly informed me about self promotions on his platform, I would have, but it's more about toxic people and thirsty dudes, well, and spammers. Right, I mean, it's also about like, I guess you'd say, deftness of messaging. This is a very ham fisted kind of messaging. It's not, it's hoping to be intriguing by being provocative, I guess, but I don't know. You tell me, Steve Billings. Is that your goal? Steve Billings is a TMZ commentator? Well, good for Steve Billings. Sounds like he's got a good job working for the TMZ. TMZ. Wait, did the Steve Billings just get involved? Oh no. Guys, we fucked up. We thought we were just talking to one of Steve's lackeys, but I'm beginning to think Steve Billings himself is here to enforce the Steve Billings law. I mean, he does have a lot of force of will. What's the opportunity? I still don't understand what the opportunity is. Is it the opportunity to appreciate Steve Billings? That is a great opportunity. Nobody, nobody can dispute that. I could get to watch YouTube content by the Steve Billings. Well, what am I waiting? Why are we? Why am I still streaming? Why aren't we all watching Steve Billings right now? The TMZ commentator. That's Steve Billings. You know, in case you were thinking of a different one, right? Well, he's like, I'm gonna make sure this whole circle is filled up with face. The host, Steve Billings, host of The Asylum, that YouTube channel I've been hearing so much about, with the close connections with TMZ. Have you heard about this guy, Steve Billings? He is a real mover and shaker. I can meet the man who met Harvey. Harvey who? Harvey Wallbanger? I don't want to meet Harvey Wallbanger because obviously his predilection needs to be done in private. You know where they named who they named Billings, Montana after, don't you? That's right. Famed TMZ commentator Steve Billings, host of The Asylum. Less than approximately 96% face. Well, maybe that's what he was going for, was exactly 96% face. In which case, you nailed this, Steve Billings. You may be Steve Billings, but I'm giving you top Billings. You're blowing all of our minds, and I don't think we're ever going to get them back. Look at Johnny Cats. You can see the Harvey Levin. Who's Harvey Levin? It's like, sounds like some guy named Harvey opening his own knockoff 7-Eleven. That 7-Eleven is Harvey Levin. Come in here and get your cigarettes and your large swallows. That's what we call big gulps here at imitation 7-Eleven. He's a lawyer. Wow. Are you telling me that the Steve Billings knows the Harvey Levin, who is a lawyer who owns TMZ? Mind double blown now. I'm so impressed. Now, if we can just get Mario Lopez in the mix, we'll really have something important. Welcome to Entertainment Tonight with host Mario Lopez, Steve Billings, host of The Asylum, and of course, Harvey Levin. Here on TMZ's Entertainment Tonight. That would be just so amazing. And then I could watch that and gain all the benefits of watching it. That's the opportunity, right? Yeah, I mean, like, how much is there that I could learn from watching even just one episode of this? This much? This much? Could be more? Could be, who knows? I'm not. I am the furthest thing from hostile towards Steve. I think Steve is, quite frankly, a Renaissance man, a polyglot. You might say man of the year, hero to the people, the great bridger of gaps. Could call him the true future evolution of humankind. Also, you could call him the best damn host the asylum's ever had, Steve Billings. I'm sure Harvey Levin is perfectly swell fellow too, but as far as I know, he's no host of the asylum, right? So I don't know why we're making a big deal of him just because he owns a TV show. It's not even like a network, right? It's just a TV show, isn't it? I guess it's a media outlet. They put things out on the internet too. We could grow by watching people wait outside LAX for famous people, interrupting famous people while they do things like shop and shop. To have them be scriptedly interrupted because they called TMZ ahead of time to let them know they were there, only to put on a performance of looking irritated when they show up. Ernie Shell, the Tiger Hunter. I don't know who Ernie Shell, the Tiger Hunter is, and if he's hunting tigers, I don't want to watch it at all because that sounds sad. I mean, I don't understand how in the world it would ever make sense for TMZ to have this be their promotion strategy. Have a guy spend intensive amounts of time and attention in a live stream with 7 people here to promote his fucking side project. This cannot be the highest return to time invested strategy a person could have, for sure. It may work. I admit at this point I'm quite curious about Steve Billings. Uh, but I guess if you're really confident about the quality of your content being good enough to actually not just get people to look at it once, but come back for more of it. But that's just not the kind of content I consume usually. My wife would be more interested in that kind of content, like famous people, celebrities, and stuff. She gets mad at a lot of celebrities all the time now. Now that we know how evil a lot of them are. I am talking to famous people, that's true. It grabs you and sucks you and you want more and more. Well, all right, you know what? You have made me more curious than I am philosophically opposed to doing this. So I'm going to see. I'm sure I'm not going to get sucked in, but I could be wrong. You don't even have any content. There's no chance of me getting sucked in because you have no content. So, it's hard to get me coming back for more of your content when you don't have any. Oh, I see. Maybe it's the Asylum fan page. Maybe it's that channel. It just has the intro sending us just 1 minute and 1:31 video.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Who's that guy? Steve Villains? I mean, I already don't like it, and this is just the intro. I'm not interested at all in people being provocative for the sake of being provocative. That's a poor substitute for being interesting. It looks terrible. But I obviously didn't watch any of the actual show. I just saw that little bit of thing. So I don't know still, but my thought, my honest thought is probably terrible. I'm not gonna go do that. If in fact I in that little intro thing had seen something that had anything interesting about it, then maybe. But surely you don't think you're helping Steve Billings' cause with your spamming, right? Like at this point, the only thing I know for sure is, oh fuck no, I don't want to watch Steve Billings. Ah, I just think about Steve Billings, this strangely intrusively obsessive Steve Billings fan who convinced me to look at. I don't want to go there. There's no good reason to go there based on a little thing I've seen. At Steve Billings Asylum. Oh, you're trying to tell me the web page of the channel. I see. Okay, all right, my bad. I was being dense here. I didn't know what that was. I thought you were just saying. It was just. I didn't realize that you could just put that in the thing. All right, let me put that in the thing. Steve Billings, you are just a real. You're a real stick in my craw at this point. Steve Billings has 5.34 subs, 465 videos. Let's see. Oh, he's a streamer. He does big uploads as well. And shorts, I guess. Oh, let me look a little bit of one of these streams to see what it's like. I'm guessing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the World Wide Web. This is the Wild Wild West. Welcome to the asylum. It's crazy in here. Yeah, it is. It's about to get crazier. We're gonna have a shootout like the actual Wild Wild West at the not so okay corral. Cactus brings the views. Bang bang. Bang bang. His tree teeth bring the freaking views. I did a 1-tooth review video that can.
Okay. Look, I'm not saying it's necessarily bad content. If you're a fan of that guy and what he's doing, then I'm sure it's wonderful for you to watch it. But I don't like that kind of content in general. I don't like panels and the kind of I'm going to replace saying things with general joviality. Not really my thing to consume. Also not really my thing to make. You know? But that doesn't mean it's bad inherently or anything. It doesn't seem like... It doesn't seem as bad as the intro made it seem. It's clearly aspiring to some kind of, you know, wacky morning DJ vibe or something. Again, not inherently a bad thing, but not my thing. Sometimes that kind of thing could be said that it is a bad thing, but it's not necessarily. It usually comes out bad. Even when it comes out good, not my thing. Like, I don't hardly ever consume live streams at all. Even though I generate a lot of live stream content, I basically never consume them. I have kinds of videos that I watch on YouTube that I like to watch, which by and large are not like the videos I make at all. I like to watch videos where somebody is like telling about how a given historical battle went down. I like to watch those kind of videos sometimes. Or Well, I can see that I didn't give it much of a chance to suck me in. But I'm not a patient consumer of media. Like, I'm not going to give anything much of a chance. It needs to interest me right now, not fuck around, you know? I'm not saying I make media that meets those criteria. So, you could say, well, you're just being hypocritical, Art. Well, I'm not hypocrisy because what I want to consume and what I want to make are different things. And, if people don't want to consume what I want to make, then that's obviously their prerogative. Talking to famous people. Here's something to consider: talking to someone who talked to someone famous like Harvey Levin. Why would I want to talk to Steve Billings? Dude, it's like there's possible reasons why I could want to talk to Steve Billings. Either he was wrong and invited me to correct him / argue with him or something. I could conceivably maybe want to do that. Or he needed my guidance on one of any possible number of things that I'm expert at. Like, you're talking to him that. Or he wanted to interview me or something. I can see you talking to him in that context. But to go on his panel and just engage in banal chit chat, no. Not my thing. Not a fan. I have found over the years that other people are not ideationally robust enough to carry their half of the conversation. What can I tell you? I got stark weaknesses as well, but that's not one of them. Read the man. Who cares about Harvey Levin, for fuck's sake? Why is he so important? Just because he started a fake 7-Eleven? Hi, Alex Holdfast. We'll pet her a little and then, like, when you go to the base of her tail, see what she does and start making bread on the carpet. What are you talking about? Or your cat is making noise because she's in heat. I see. Well, she wants a little loving. So, maybe you just ought to burn some incense, light some candles, turn the lights down low, and call Steve Billings. Super drink then. Why don't you tell Steve Billings to reach out to the world-renowned typologist and founder of Talking with Famous People? World-renowned. Well, I think what he meant by that is world-renowned. Good fucking grief. What country are you from? India or Russia? Who are you talking to? Me? I'm not from India or Russia. No, I'm from America. Well, under the USA. Am I as well known as Harvey Levin? I'm not well known at all. I'm poorly known. I'm as poorly known even as Steve Billings. And nobody's ever heard of that guy. Yeah, wait for her to be done being in heat. Yeah. Obviously, I'm nowhere near as well known as this Harvey Levin guy who I've never heard of. I'm as obscure a figure in the public consciousness as Steve Billings. I know. You'd think, surely you must be more well known than that. Nope. Pretty much nobody's ever heard of me. I'm shocked too. They should have heard of me. Because, unlike Steve Billings, I'm super interested. I mean, I'm kind of liking Steve Billings here in the chat. I think he's pretty interesting and fun. But I'm not sure that show is very interesting because, you know, you either get people who are exchanging ideas and things get usually adversarial, or you just have people engaging in, I don't know, casual small talk. A group conversation is not a good mechanism to communicate anything. It's just people hanging out. I like hanging out. Here we are hanging out, right? But in this capacity of hanging out, I don't have to concern myself with other people saying dumb things and requiring part of the audio space and having to be conscientious about sharing that audio space equally with other people and all that kind of stuff. Because they're not trying to get anything done when they're talking. They're not saying, here's an unresolved question that we can resolve with argumentation. So accordingly, I'm like, why are we saying this stuff? What are you trying to do here? They're not trying to do anything. They're just trying to chit chat. I don't have a lot of patience for that. You might say, well, you sure have a lot of patience for yourself chit chatting with yourself, Well, that's true. I do have a lot of patience for that. And that may be unfair, hypocritical of me. But it's nevertheless an accurate reporting of the state of affairs. And that's one to grow on. More than one, I'd say. That's at least 2 or 3 to grow on. What's that you say? You'd like a counterexample to demonstrate the inadequacy of one Steve Billings in the field of witty repartee? Well, exhibit 1, the foregoing. Sometimes the yelling gives you a headache. Well, I tell you what. I'm going to talk in my most soothingest voice, just for you, Steve Billings. Hey, how you doing? Let's not use sharp tones. Let's speak with mindfulness. Let's be considerate. Let's be mindful. And let's speak in soothing, dulcet tones. When you hear me, don't you hear the sound of Father Ocean? Do you not see the glow of the full moon on a cold October night? The yelling on his shows? Whose shows? You mean Steve Billings' shows? Well, if I happen to get a panel, people will start, either they'll not be talking about anything, or there'll be matters in dispute, which at best one of them has adequate competence to express anything about it all. Well, obviously, whenever Steve Billings is in a room, everybody around him is freaking out. Oh my God, it's Steve fucking Billings, the guy who knows That Harvey Levin guy. That would give anybody a headache. No, I don't think it's a bunch of monkeys on panel. I think that I mean the issue is I professionally I'm a competition flow debate coach, so I understand argumentation very rigorously, and people like to play at arguing about topics, but they're not actually doing any meaningful work, and or they don't want to argue about things, in which case they're not talking about anything of any interest, usually. Like, I like to explain things a lot. People don't necessarily want an explanation. They want it to be a conversation, a debate, or whatever. But if I'm explaining something about it, it's because I actually understand it. And if I'm explaining it to you, it's because you don't. So obviously, there's a lot of communication events in which my expectations and the other person's expectations run afoul of each other because I realize, look, if you want me to talk about this, the only meaningful way to talk about it is for me to instruct you in your ignorance about it. But they don't want that. They want to have a conversation between equals, but they don't know anything about the thing we're talking about. So, you can see my frustration. And theirs, I'm sure, as well. Mine, caused by a desire to actually communicate meaningfully and the understanding necessary to correctly articulate things about the status quo, things occurring between us. Then, no. And so, you think, well, eventually, Eric, you just probably stop trying and just be like, oh my God, bang my head against the wall. That's made a lot of fucking banging my head against the wall before I say that, though. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's just because you didn't prioritize my own intentional configurations like everybody does. I have a lot of the equivalent kind of encounters, like where, let's say I spoke Spanish. I'm saying, so if you want to say, there are too many chupacabras in my pueblo, you say, hay demasiados chupacabras en este pueblo, or mi pueblo. And someone's like, well, that's just your opinion about how to say that in Spanish. I have a different opinion. You should say, and expect that there's a meaningful equivalency between the two things. And then be upset if you want to instruct them on how to do it rather than pretend like you have two equal combatants in this conversation, right? Like, no, your random made up bullshit is not an equally viable alternative to actually speaking Spanish. Like, how dare you invalidate my special language? I'm just like, you know what? Never mind. You just keep talking Spanish however you want. You could perhaps talk it like this. Piñatas, sombreros, 5 pesos each down by my burrows. Steve Billings will not let you hit. Will not let me hit what? I didn't call you a stalker. The only way to technically call someone a stalker is to use the word stalker. I'm measuring the doll right now. Eric hasn't done the doll thing in a while, but I can still hear her. Oh, yeah, well, you're right about that. Very good point. I think Tiffany probably is going to be pretty opinionated about this whole thing. In fact, not let you hit is crazy work. Civilians will not let you hit. Oh my God, we heard one more thing about that horrible dead bodies guy. Oh God, oh God, so bad. Let me just tell you right now, Tibbets, y'all stink! Well, sorry, Steve Billings. Tiffany gave you the brutal, put down. According to her, you stink. I'm not saying I agree with her, but that's what she's saying. She's never even watched your shit, so. Okay, well. I think I've already met him, to be honest. I've enjoyed my time with him thus far, actually. I think he's rather a pleasant, good sport about things. But I already know I don't like being on panels. Unless it's a specific purpose or something to the thing. If it's had a specific topic and there's some kind of structured allotment of time kind of thing, it'd be different. But I don't like panels. Unstructured panels at all. I could talk to just Steve Billings, potentially. That might be interesting. But it seems like you like to have more than just me on the show. When you got some downtime. Right. I love the idea of some person coming in with completely unaware of who you are, and their first impression is the dull bit. Kanye West's Crash Out was the only entertaining thing to happen on TMZ. Well, they do sometimes break big stories. Like, I'm not sure if that was the case with Diddy, but I think it was that they broke the story of the raids, maybe. Was that the George Bush thing? No, the George Bush thing was called the Iraq War. When who was off his meds? Well, first off, TV kind of sucks. Do you know when the last time I watched TV was? I can't even remember. So this is Johnny Katz. Are you talking about Harvey Levin, TMZ guy? We're talking about Steve Billings mostly. Because I don't know if you've heard, but Steve Billings has met Harvey Levin, maybe even touched his garment. Yes, that Harvey Levin. is there any other? Do we even need to use more than either of the two names and know who we're referring to? I think he was asking about the Kanye quote, George Bush doesn't care about black people. Well, I mean, he may or may not care about black people, but that's not the kind of thing you can critique somebody for. Like, how we're going to determine their amount of caring. There's about 16 units of caring for black people, and the national average is way up at 28 units. So you've got a 12-unit deficit of care for that demographic. Maybe if it was Bobcat Goldthwait. He was a very annoying comedian for sure. You know, I don't like to see people who are having mental health problems and and moments of mental health and moments of mental illness, right? I see it as sad. Maybe prior to, my wife has bipolar mania, fully in remission, but without her meds, she goes crazy. Well, there's good reason to think actually that he may have, he's got some kind of handler for sure. Where that handler fits into some sort of larger frameworks is obviously not something we're going to easily be able to determine, but there's a lot of sus shit about it. All those people are into all kinds of sus shit. He's ran with Diddy for years, and fuck those people. I no longer particularly feel sympathetic for Kanye. I just think he's a scumbag, but I still. He definitely is. He definitely has bipolar mania. It's not one big spectrum. I used to think those kind of things maybe too. I wasn't really sure until I got with my wife and she stopped taking her meds and literally like did not sleep for over a week for sure. Really, I'm being very conservative in my estimates, and went just completely batshit crazy. And like I had to go find some hospitalist to sedate her. She wouldn't sleep. Didn't matter how tired she should have been. It was quite dramatic. And then, when we got the psychiatrist that put her on the right combination of drugs, it was like a light switch too. All of a sudden she was this fully sane in a way that I had never quite seen her before because she had not been properly medicated prior. It was a very convincing demonstration of the fact that there's a big difference between the kind of mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and stuff, and things like schizophrenia, bipolar mania, or I don't know. I think there's another one I'm not thinking of, but just like that as well. Things that don't have anything to do with trauma, don't have anything to do with circumstances that are not part of normal human experience that represent an actual distinct problem with the brain that can be solved when with the right combination of drugs. but not for everybody. Like, not everybody gets a neat, tidy solution like Rachel did. Some people have a lot harder time finding the right combination of drugs. Schizophrenia is harder to treat than bipolar mania. It's like, it's the thing is, it's fine to say about things like depression and anxiety and other kind of mental health problems that we're all on a spectrum because those are those kind of things. But like schizophrenia and bipolar mania are things like Down syndrome. We're not all on a spectrum of intelligence from Down syndrome to this is all a spectrum. No, Down syndrome is a specific problem that causes uh, a low ceiling on possible intelligence and predictable, distinct kinds of cognitive deficits, etc. It's like when you're classifying students, gifted is not a real label. Retarded is. Retarded means something, whether you want to call it, cognitive disabled or whatever you want to call it. It's an actual diagnosis of an actual problem. Gifted is not a real thing. It's just somebody's opinion that somebody's talented or special enough. Well, now all we need to do is get Steve Levin to meet Harvey Billings, and we'll really have something. We'll have a very confused rooms full of Steves, Harveys, Billings, and Levins. All right, I put that away. What was I doing? What was I going to do? Anything in particular? Besides talk and think more about Steve Billings, I mean, of course. Because if there's anybody whose name is on everyone's lips right now, it's a little someone called Steve Billings. We were talking about George Bush hating black people. Well, Kanye said he didn't care about black people. He didn't say he hated them. It would be a little easier to establish that somebody hates something if you can come up with examples of like hate speech, for example. But not, failing to care enough about something, that's very hard to establish. Like, for example, if you did hate black people, that would qualify in some sense as a form of caring about them a lot, right? But it's not a kind of caring that you say is good or advocate in favor of. Now, granted, in the colloquial usage, that wouldn't qualify as caring, probably. That's probably not what Kanye meant by caring. But I could totally see myself saying to some kind of like white supremacist who kept talking about black people, like, oh my God, you care so much about black people. Why? There's not even a real distinction. Race isn't real. It's just a folksy notion that Americans predicate on skin color. Well, good for Kanye. Good for Kanye. At least, um, whether or not you're Jewish has something to do with stuff you ascribe to as beliefs. It's not just a completely arbitrary, meaningless distinction. Will you ever find the time in your busy schedule? Well, yeah, I will meet. Sure, of course, I will meet and talk to. And I will also enjoy the conversation that I have with Steve Billings. I'm sure he's got many wonderful stories to tell about the time he met Harvey Levin. Making people sing different was the only way Southerners would be able to do it to African American people. Well, my point is that uh, Judaism is often considered an ethnicity, but it's only a real distinction in the way that Christian is a real distinction, insofar as it refers to an individual's express affirmation of a certain set of beliefs. So I reject the idea that there's any kind of racial identity called Jewish or white or black or brown or whatever, you know. Those things aren't real distinctions. But I do acknowledge that you can consensually identify as a member of some kind of group like a religion or political party because you can articulate the beliefs you ascribe to. They were promised this live stream 2,000 years ago. You know, that's what I find myself wondering so much right now, erratic behavior, is what's Steve thinking? What will Steve say? What will he ask? Why will he ask those things? Is it okay to call him Steve? Should I call him Mr. Billings? Mr. Billings, sir? My lord, Mr. Billings, sir? I don't know, he's pretty important. He met R11. He really has upped the ante, for sure. We're no longer just fooling around here out in the boondocks doing nothing. We're in the same general area right now, or shouldn't miss the chance to take advantage. We're in the general area of Steve Billings. He didn't meet Drake's dad's mustache though. I have never met Drake's dad's mustache either, fortunately. I didn't even know Drake had a mustachioed father. I assumed everybody from Canada came from maple trees. Just every once in a while, some of the maple syrup drippings come out as a little fetus. Read Harvey Levin's IMDb? Why? What am I supposed to learn from it? Why don't you just tell me the information I'm supposed to get out of it? Fine. I will look at it. You are really successfully prompting a lot of action for me. I'm impressed. That's hard to do. I'm not prone to following instructions. Yeah, I recognize the guy. I knew who you. I knew. I guessed who you were talking about. I wasn't 100% sure that was his name, but I figured that must be the guy you're talking about. Because I have seen TMZ before. So what am I supposed to be looking at here? All these TMZ episodes? He reported, or he was a reporter during the O.J. Simpson case. I didn't know that. He wasn't functioning as a lawyer. He was functioning as a reporter. He may have been like a lawyer that CBS hired to give legal, commentary on from. He reported that prosecutor Marcia Clark had entered Simpson's residence before a search warrant had been executed. When Levin was proven wrong, he attempted to blame the mistake on a technician who mistimed the video's clock during the editing process. He briefly represented discredited Simpson witness Mary Ann Gerchis. Levin has been an inactive member of the state bar since 1996. Obviously, for good reason. He played very fast and loose with his obligations as a custodian of the court, or what do they call him? You know, agent of the court or something. I think he's more well suited in his current job than he was as a lawyer, that's for sure. That sounds like some slapdash journalistic ethics as well, though. That's the one thing, the one like factoid they have about him is that. That's crazy. You're missing out on important lore or plot. He's the guy who's on TMZ, who's like the main guy who hears everybody's ideas and stuff. Have you ever watched TMZ? He was on The Simpsons, Family Guy, Soprano. Well, good for him. Why? Why are? Oh, maybe is it possible that Steve Billings is actually himself, Harvey Levin? If not, well, I mean, I guess there's no real clear answer to this, but you gotta ask anyway. Why be so impressed by Harvey Levin? He's no Judge Wapner. He may have been on the People's Court, but if he was, he probably played the people instead of the court. You all are clapping my mind's cheeks with these TMZ theories. You don't know how deep the conspiracy goes at TMZ. Maybe they're like the Trinity, fully distinguishable from each other while also fully one. Maybe, but he's too shy of a Trinity as far as last I counted. Unless you're counting Wapner as one of the thirds. Then the third, I guess, would be actress Cameron Diaz. Harvey Levin is actually a composite of Harvey Levin and also Cameron Diaz and also Steve Billings. Does Lightning McQueen have car insurance or life insurance? He has neither because he's a rebel. He likes to live hard and fast and incur the consequences as they come. He's like, insurance is for people who crash, motherfuckers. He's saucy like that. Lightning McQueen, sometimes known as the Steve Billings of the Cars cast, was in a movie called Cars. And he was one of the cars that did stuff. Well, inadequate exhaust flow will cause problems. So maybe Sally needs to look into getting that replaced with a broader tailpipe, have better gape, so to speak. A healthy car has a gaping tailpipe. You can tell people you met Steve Billings, you met Steve Harvey. I could tell people that. I mean, fortunately, at the moment, you're doing a good job of telling people for me. But should that change at some point, you can rest assured I'll be informing everybody I see of that. Hey, how's it going? I met Steve Billings. Who's that? He met Harvey Levin? Who's that? The guy from TMZ? Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that guy. The guy that every prison started used to. Oh. And you met him? No, no, I didn't meet him. I met Steve Billings. He met that guy. I am on a late one tonight. Alex Holdfast. I should be ending this. I should have ended this a long time ago, but Steve Billings came and I started chatting with him about, the important topics, namely Steve Billings and Harvey Levin. Also TMZ and the topic of meeting. Not to mention at Steve Billings Asylum, which is a live stream, mostly panel thing, I think, although he's got long form videos too and shorts. And he certainly has done the road work here. He has put in both time and repetition to make sure that we never forget him. You're getting sick of this guy, Steve Billings. Well, I mean, how much Steve Billings have you had so far? Have you really even had a large portion of Steve Billings? If at first you think it doesn't taste good, then apparently we just need more of it. It's kind of like spore medium. Would you like a plate full of spore medium? Do you need to know particularly more information to know the answer is no? Probably not. Spore medium. Apparently, that's what mushrooms grow is. Spore medium. It sounds very gross. Some sort of gross, like gelatinous goo or something. It's your spore medium. Anyhow, I don't want to eat any more spore medium like most people. I'm tired. I am tired. Spore spunk. Spore medium reminds me of Spreem, the world's only all natural, cruelty free sperm whale sperm substitute. Are you having trouble getting sperm whale oil for your old Nantucket whale oil lamps? Well, look no further thanks to Spreem, the contemporary vegan cruelty free alternative to sperm whale oil. You can use it for all your regular sperm oil uses. You can eat it, you can burn it, you can use it to lubricate sex, or use it like WD-40 on your hinges and stuff too. You could rub it on your skin for a nice conditioning liquid. All of these things are possible with Spreem. And the job of us few who were here tonight to keep the good name of Steve Billings, the guy who met Harvey Levin, alive. Yeah, it is our job. It's our honor, our privilege, our sacred duty. Steve Billings didn't come here and randomly choose anybody to entrust his future too. He entrusted it to us. And depending on what we do, that's where we're going to learn if we've allowed his hopes and dreams to grow little seedlings in the supporting soil, or if we've just stomped them. You don't want to do that to poor Steve, do you? Oh, yes. Daddy knows. Daddy knows and Daddy loves. Because you are a very good kitty. Yes, you are. Yes, you're Daddy's sweetheart. What a good kitty. This is my good cat. I have one good cat and one bad cat. What makes the bad cat bad? So many different things. He chose us for our fertile minds, so he planted his seed in us. Right. This was no random happenstance thing. Steve Billings goes where his laser insight and intuition guides him. Always right where he most needs to be. When someone needed to pull the first brick from the Berlin Wall, Steve was there. When someone had to soothe people after the Hindenburg exploded, Steve was there. When the world sat on the brink of war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Steve was there. When that one time Harvey Levin was doing something and got met, Steve was there too. And to some extent, a little bit of Steve Billings in all of us. With a little bit in each of us besides Steve Billings, all put together would only make one additional Steve Billings. That's how much Steve Billings there is in the Steve Billings. A lot. Piñatas, sombreros. If you want to leave, then you will it. Just like Steve Billings. And if you want to see the asylum with Steve Billings, then you know why it's a podcast or something like that. A panel, I guess is what they call that crap. But it's okay, Steve Billings here. He only has one thing to say, I fear, is that he one time met this guy who's on TMZ. His name is Steve Harvey. I mean, not Steve. His name is Harvey. Last name is Levin. That's right, I recall now. I'm sorry for my slow memory. I said S to the E to the B to the E to the BILLING. I said S to the T to the E to the BEBILLING. Steve Billings, that's what I'm talking about. Steve Billings been building himself a lot. Just he jumps off some buildings and he lands on the ground and then he's off tilling the soil and plants in the field, you see, because he steals buildings, gee. And if you don't like these buildings well, you could talk to him about Harvey Levin. Then maybe it'll change your mind because, in case you didn't hear, he's met Harvey Levin. You know, the guy from TMZ, pretty important stuff. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. What is this exactly? It's just drums. Well, another popular topic of songs is, of course, Chord Overstreet. You may recall me before singing about Chord Overstreet. He was in this movie with Chord Overstreet with Lindsay Lohan, I think. Chord Overstreet. I thought his name was strange. Is his name really Chord Overstreet? No way. It's got to be a stage name. Actually, that's his name, Chord Overstreet. What a cumbersome name. It's got too many R's in it. Let's be honest. The problem isn't too few R's. Chord Overstreet. I don't know about that. Chord Overstreet. Well, I think I'm about ready to wrap this up. It's always a challenge to actually pull the trigger and change from one state of equilibrium to a different state of equilibrium. Because I'm not really that into paying attention in that way, namely an extroverted sensing kind of way. I like to consider the possibility of doing things. So one R is the limit. Yeah, you could be named Code Overstreet. That'd be fine, I guess. I mean, we still have two R's in there. But Chord Overstreet? Too many O's, too many R's. It could not be more of a cumbersome name to say. It's like Arnold Palmer. He's not quite as bad as Arnold Palmer, but Chord Overstreet is very much equivalent. Like, who wants to order an Arnold Palmer? You gotta, like, prepare yourself to articulate before you say it. The Brilliance is my what after tonight? I can't read it. So be inside to read. Once again, I come outside. I don't wear my glasses. I don't anticipate something I should because it's happened a million times already in one day. And once again, I just come out here. This is it. No drink, no glasses. Somebody needs to give this Eric guy a real piece of his mind. Listen, Eric, you are a mess. You're all over the place, unfocused, unstructured, undisciplined, and making some unwise decisions. Did you really need to stay up all night? No, you didn't. But you chose to do that. And now what are you going to do? It's tomorrow. You're supposed to do stuff. You're not going to want to do anything. How are you going to explain yourself now, little mister? I can't explain myself. I don't know. Shut up, Eric. Stop making your little mewling excuses. I didn't even start. You didn't, is exactly right. You didn't think. You didn't behave properly. You didn't accomplish shit. But I did, but that doesn't count because you wanted to do that. Well, it's true that I've just done what I wanted all day, today, yesterday, and somewhat Friday. But I did get some cleaning done. You know, you ride that horse of excitement. Sometimes the reins get out of your hands. You grip them a little loose. When you go bucking off towards who knows what direction. Only later do you realize, well, I rode somewhere way over here and now I don't know where I am. Well, you're just standing outside, just pointlessly ruminating about your failure to live up to your expectations for yourself over the course of the last several days. Does that kind of approach to these problems cause them to persist? Let's just let things play out and see how it goes. Is a guarantee that you're not going to see anything other than failure. Public enemy number one. You know, I don't think he's public enemy number one. He's public frenemy number one. It's 3:25 a.m. and I was up all day and I took mushrooms and I was up in the nighttime and then I stopped being on mushrooms. I just stayed up and now it's 3:30 in the morning. Now what am I going to do? I'm just going to have to wag a number of fingers at myself, I guess, and say, no, no, no. You go to sleep and you get good sleep as soon as possible. But I already know I'm not going to go to sleep right away. Okay, after I'm done streaming, I need to take some time to like watch some cartoons, pull some bowls, wind down stuff. I could pull some bowls now, of course. So it's probably a good idea, but yeah, I just at a certain point devolved into just full on pointless walk around syndrome. And I think to myself, why am I still ushering? I should be quit a long time ago. Because you get stuck in the current equilibrium, you don't want to change it. That's why. Angry granddad. I'm not particularly angry at all at the moment. Sometimes I do get angry, but not right now. I'm also not a granddad, but I would say a better adjective would be placid at the moment. Obviously, like anyone, my mood varies. Right now I'm mostly tired and ready to stop streaming, but just not stopping anyway because I like to sit here in the frothy event horizon of decision making. When I do, and maybe I should line up something I'm gonna watch. I see, I'm not really that interested in watching anything at the moment. I'm also not really tired enough to go to bed. I don't want to work on making anything. I hope it wasn't too loud when I was playing music. Probably bothered Rachel. But I just wasn't thinking. I wasn't being mindful. I was just doing what I felt like. I'd say placid granddad. Yeah, I'm not a granddad, but placid is a better adjective than angry. One can be placid but not flaccid. That's certainly plausible. Placidity doesn't imply, you know, limpness or a deficit in efficacy, which impotence in the general sense of the word implies a failure of efficacy. Flaccid suggests lack of potency, accordingly. But I'm quite sure that you did not actually mean to say that placidity and placidity meant the same thing. Lake Placid on Golden Pond. There's a movie called On Golden Pond that's terrible and depressing, I think. Where's my mouse? It's so far away from me. That's the problem with it. All right. I'm going to get up and get it. I'm going to get up and get it. And then I'm going to watch On Golden Pond. I'm not going to watch On Golden Pond. And it's got Henry Fonda, I believe, in it. Yeah, now I've got the mouse. What day is it tomorrow? Monday. Today, I mean. Bruh. Bruh, is what I say about all that. Alright, I'm going to wrap up the live stream. Good night. I love you all, and I think that you are the very best around. Nothing's ever going to bring you down.